yet another author joining us here. Heidi, you want to introduce John?
Edward Lawson. He is editor and co-founder of Raw Dog Screaming Press out of Washington, D.C. And they are, well, he's kind of my boss.
He is.
Yes, he is indeed, because I am.
So we best be on our best behavior.
Honest. But you know what? He is a sweetheart. He's wonderful. He's always the most positive person in the room all the time, and always the tallest as well. I mean, I know he gets tired of hearing that, but 6'8" is pretty far up there. So people tend to notice
They do.
when you walk into a room.
So John, do you have a current project that you're working on, something you're penning?
Yes, I do. I'm currently working on a sort of a nonfiction book, actually, based on social media. It's very important for authors and anyone doing anything where they're trying to get a message out these days. So it's titled "How to Win Social Media in Just One Day."
Awesome.
So are you a social media guru?
Oh yes, he is. Have you ever seen his clout score?
I've not looked it up.
Well, if you compare me to a Broadway musical, I am I'm above Spider-Man, but I'm not up to the level of Les Miserables yet. So they've got about 2 points on me. So
That's good work.
That is excellent work.
Not
yes.
many people that can say that.
No.
So, what made you decide to work on this project? Is there a need in the industry, or
well,
just something you're passionate about?
it is something I've become quite passionate about, and you know what started it all was there was a conference in Frostburg, Maryland, where I first met Heidi and Jason.
Oh, how funny.
And we were on a panel together about self-promo, publicity for authors, and Heidi mentioned Twitter, and that was something I was really not using. And she said, no, you have to be on Twitter. And so I started doing it. I talked to Jason, and they really schooled me on social media. I started out just at the very bottom, the lowest possible score you can have, I think 10.
Oh my goodness. And he's
Yeah.
77 now out of 100 on cloud.
So yeah, so that was what inspired me, and it's been I guess about 1.5 years, 2 years, and it's really sort of become a major part of my time. And I use it to help all of our authors. I'm mostly selling stuff for other people, but it's fun.
And we all appreciate it. Wonderfully. We appreciate it so much.
We're good.
So, what are some other works that you have you've worked on?
Well, I've had 5 poetry collections. I guess my most recent book is a poetry collection. Just came out last August, and that was a fun project. But I'm trying to focus on more. You know, I've done a lot of experimental work, and I'm trying to do something that will be read by people. something entertaining. I've gotten that out of my system.
But you've got nominated for lots of awards
Oh,
for
well,
all of your other work.
Yeah, I mean, I have gotten some recognition. The 2 Riesling Award nominations and the Dwarf Star Award nominations. It's a finalist for the Stoker Award, which is, I guess, the biggest award you can get in the horror
That's
field.
the Oscars of the horror. We were talking
Yeah.
about the Oscars
Sure.
of mystery
Right.
earlier. So.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm really interested in more like thrillers and things like that now. You know, they're fun. I like having fun.
Yes.
I think people like
And you
having
can't
fun.
go wrong with the thriller. I mean,
Right. Well,
yeah.
We were talking with Jason a little bit earlier about shifts within the industry itself, and then you mentioned that you were able to do some experimental works. That's something that might not have been possible years ago, or would have been harder to get out there to people.
right. Well, the advent of the internet. You know, I've been writing for 14 years. I used to do the thing where you had the envelopes and you'd send them out and you put in money for people to return your materials, and you'd wait 6 months for a rejection, and or a year if it was international. And but with the internet, it sort of became like the Wild West with creativity, art, music, writing, of course. Anything you can think of, you can do it. So, and there was, you know, not so much acceptance at first, but we sort of carved out a niche for ourselves.
And it's been a decade, and it's been a
Yes.
great decade. Incredible.
Yes, 10 years publishing unusual material. And so now it's sort of what we're known for, and it's experimental for us to do something more mainstream.
Like the Dog Star Books
Yes,
line.
exactly.
Yeah, that's about as mainstream as your line gets. Yeah,
Right,
which is
yeah.
wonderful.
So, and Heidi has been wonderful with that. That's all.
Thank you.
The success is all Heidi's. So,
So let's talk about a little bit more about you as a person, get some insight into your persona.
Okay.
Do you like other mediums that tell stories, television, motion pictures, music? What really appeals to you? Or are you solely just
He's
into
also
books?
a screenwriter. So.
Oh.
Yes.
Actually, I got my start as a audio engineer. I'm a certified audio engineer. I had a little project studio, and between clients, I would work on these screenplays. And started getting so much interest from producers and directors, actors in Hollywood, that I was like, oh, well, I should just, pursue this instead of, having a stable job. And, when you're doing, sort of weird stuff, you really need to have a track record, other credentials. And so I started doing the short stories to sort of establish myself, and that went so well that I ended up just doing that. I have been involved in a few feature films which didn't make it out of, didn't really start filming for one reason or another, but been doing a lot of short films lately. 2 more short films in the pipe, apparently. I'll be filmed in Texas this summer, and I've been doing music on the side, about 107 songs in the last 3 years. So those are starting to filter out onto the internet. So doing a little bit of things, a little bit of everything here and there.
Do you write and perform your music, or do you write and pass it off? Or
Write and perform, yeah. I spent my time in the 90s in a band in the DC area. And we got kind of known in other countries, but never caught on here in the U.S. And
So you're huge in Belgium.
we get interviewed in Belgium, and people in Yugoslavia, when the war was going on, would want us to come over there and tour. And I was like, well, you kind of have a war
yeah.
there, But, so yeah, but I think for me anyway, it all influences. One thing feeds into another. The music, I'm always listening to music as I write.
Sure.
So, and the writing influenced a lot of the music. A lot of the songs were based on books back in the 90s.
So maybe your musical influence, who would you say is a biggest influencer?
Oh boy. I do like a lot of classical music, but I'd have to say there's this band, Skinny Puppy from Canada. Yeah, industrial music for me. Yeah, so them, that was it.
And for your writing, who would be a big influencer?
I'm really fond of Barry Gifford. He does sort of really interesting, contemporary, weird noir fiction. He wrote Wild at Heart, the whole Wild at Heart series, and there were a couple films based on that. Really fun, dark, fast-paced stuff.
So being a publisher, do you ever get to read for pleasure? And if so, what would be on your bookshelf?
On my bookshelf, right now I am reading Japanese Tales of Mystery and Imagination by Ejigo Rampo.
Huh.
It's a pen name. He took his name from Poe, but
Oh, interesting.
in Japanese it's Rampo. Sort of weird offbeat stuff like that.
Very interesting. So in all of your writings, do you have a favorite character?
Yes, I do. A prison gigolo named Kenrick Brimley. He's employed by the state for his services, and he's an unusual guy. He's kind of a bit of a clueless guy that I really like to sort of put through the ringer. He's fun to watch in action.
So if you were casting him in a screenplay, who would fill that part?
You can ask Heidi. I've always pictured him as, it's been a while. I might switch up now and go with like somebody like Channing Tatum.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah, I don't know.
So who did it used to be?
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was him.
See, that's all I can picture him as
I
now.
know,
So
right?
you completely typecast him.
Yeah.
Well, what does the future hold for you? What are your next projects down the line?
Oh, well, I have a series of fantasy books that I'm developing actually, sort of alternate history. So those are.
Are these going to be weird, or are these going to be more mainstream?
more mainstream?
Ah.
More mainstream. About 7 of them. So just working very heavily on the plotting, getting everything in order before I really commit to the writing.
So maybe you're not talking about it yet, but any historical event, a big historical event that...
The roasting of George Washington.
We enjoyed talking about the roasting of George Washington.
That sounds, I'm going to have to work that in.
Yeah, that would be a good one. We're just about out of time, but if people want to get in touch with you, if they want to follow you on Twitter, if they want to see who's bigger than a Broadway musical, what is your Twitter name?
Well, I have a really popular name, John Edward Lawson. There's tons of them around. So I go by Bizarro Guy, 2 R's. Bizarro Guy on Twitter, Instagram, anywhere you want to look me up.
Absolutely. We'll be back in just a few moments with more authors from Seton Hill. Stick around. Thank you.